Let's take a look at some charts on ZRX, the latest article for Brave New Coin, also referred to as 0x or ZRX if you're from one of those places around the world that pronounces the Z's as a Z. So the TLDR for ZRX is it's a decentralized exchange aggregator where you can connect your MetaMask wallet or your hardware wallet, Ledger, Trezor, that sort of thing. And you can trade across the relayers, which is another word for exchanges. Now they have various fees or no fees associated with them, so there are advantages and disadvantages. Some trade NFTs, non-fungible tokens or collectibles. Some trade ERC20 tokens in general. So it varies from exchange to exchange, but the idea is that sitting at the top is all the exchanges, and the user can just plug in their funds without giving their funds to the exchange, like a centralized exchange. Now, if we look at the ZRX roadmap, in general, they're trying to move away from the core team controlling everything. They're trying to move towards community engagement and involvement and governance. Another way to think of this is increased decentralization. I mean, I wish them luck. I don't know how successful it's going to be, because in general, if there's a team that think they can do better than ZRX, man, I'm having trouble with that one. They can just fork off like a few already have and take it from there. So there's going to need to be some sort of incentive for teams who are competent enough to deal with governance or to deal with the code that isn't the ZRX core team, because otherwise they're just going to leave. There's really no reason. I mean, one main thing to stay would be the community treasury, which is a clear incentive for people to develop or get involved with the ZRX community. We see this on Dash, we see this on Zcash to some extent, a few other tokens that have a treasury system. So that sort of prevents forks in general. But the issue with ZRX is that if I'm an exchange owner and I can make a profit with fees or what have you on just making a separate exchange, then the treasury is kind of irrelevant to me. I don't know. That's my read on this situation. It's going to be interesting to watch. I think 0x is an interesting idea. They have plenty of money left in their own treasury, something like 2.5 million. It's probably down to 2 million today, but they're holding it, most of that in ETH, or all of that in ETH that I can see still from the ICO. So looking at the USD value of trades, you can see it's essentially been pretty low since release, barring like a random spike here, and basically the past few months have been pretty good for USD volume across the relayers. TokenLon, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is the #1 relayer. I don't use it. I don't know anyone who uses it, but based on their volume, they're doing really well. One risk for 0x is that, again, any exchange that just does well just forks off because they have no reason to stay. So unless they have some skin in the game with governance, or they like the staking mechanism or something, they're just going to leave. That's again, my read on it. This is a total number of trades, and you can see those are way up just historically, certainly within the range high. The only reason to look at this is, okay, we have all these exchanges, right? Like, are they successful? Are people using them? Do people care? Now, originally, ZRX was going to be part of the fee system, so that there was some sort of token supply decrease situation, but that's shifted from that to a staking situation that they just released in December, and it's still very early on. Staking rewards, ROIs all over the place. They suspect that Coinbase is going to release some sort of staking mechanism in the near future. Again, just because Coinbase is so connected with the higher ups at 0x. Looking at the NVT here, which is the inverse metric for economic utility, and active addresses, which is just usage on the network or usage of the token. You can see this active addresses in the back here. The fill has been all over the place, very heavily ranging. I suspect as staking becomes more popular, this will increase. As far as I know, currently the staking rewards are in ETH, so they're not even in ZRX, but you use the ZRX to lock up to get your reward, and then any fees in ETH are then sent to you. That's my understanding of it. So obviously if Active addresses are low or ranging, not necessarily bullish. They're not, at lows, which is what they were in early January. NVT just on this rising metric. Now, I think in general, both of these metrics are probably not so useful for ZRX. It's not really a currency. It doesn't really have a use case other than staking at this point. And I don't really know why anyone else would buy it other than for speculation. I don't know why exchanges would hold it. The only reason to hold it at this point, in my mind, is staking. So they have a use case issue here. The project is fascinating. I just don't think the token's worth anything. Looking at the charts, technicals. So the 50 and the 200 is what I always look at. The EMAs here, the green and the red. RSI, I'm just mainly looking for divergences or extreme highs, extreme lows, that sort of thing. Run-of-the-mill volume, and then volume profile of the visible range, which is a great way of showing horizontal support and resistances. So I can just pull this up with a VPVR and just automatically know if it's ranging below 35 cents, it's not worth paying attention to because there's a lot of volume in here. So until enough people say, you know what, it's worth more than 35 cents to me, and it breaks out of this range, then it can start exploring 50 cents, a dollar, something crazy like 10 bucks if staking takes off. But again, if there's no use case and no one's really buying it, other than for speculation, it's a tough sell in general. So 35 cents, clearly the line in the sand here. Horizontals, the local highs here, the VPVR is here. Volume is just whatever. This is Bitfinex chart. Bull divs on RSI or volume here. So I expect this to just keep ranging between 35 cents and the lows around 20 cents, 15 cents, something like that. Cloud just as messy. It's a range. There's no direction here. There's no signal here. It's just all over the place. And until it gets above the cloud, it's really not worth paying attention to. So you can just set alerts at 28 cents, 30 cents, something like that, with another alert at 35 cents. Upside would be the local lows around 50 cents, previous local lows, historic local lows, somewhere around there. ZRX BTC actually looks pretty good in that it's had this 2-year downtrend, and now it's sideways for 6 to 8 months, and it's just tightening. So you could argue an ascending triangle eventually. You could argue some mini Wyckoff accumulation stuff in here. Again, VPVR, massive support at 1700 sats. Some volume resistance, up until 4,000. But I think 8,000-9,000 sats is a realistic possibility if it can find some bullish momentum. You can see the 5,200, the green and the red and the green again, not crossed bullish yet. Hasn't crossed bullish ever since inception. So I'd be watching for price above the cloud, bullish 5,200 cross, 4,000 sats. When it's up there, then it's worth paying attention to. Right now, it's probably just going to keep ranging. I don't see any divs on RSI or volume. Nothing really noteworthy there. So I would just put an alert at around 3,500 sats, reevaluate it from there.